Hello, welcome to The Blackout. Worldwide, journalists and activists serve as intermediaries, informing the general public on critical issues. In return, they become targets of harassment and death by their government and non-state actors. Their work is essential for influencing a push for positive impacts of economic and human development. Here on The Blackout, the purpose is to shed light on victims' cases and hope to spread awareness and demand justice. In this video, we are going to be doing the missing case of journalist Azory Gwanda, a freelance journalist who worked in rural Tanzania. He disappeared on November 21st, 2017, around 8 a.m. by what is believed to be by an unknown group of people at the height of a mop-up operation in Kibiti district, where murders were taking place. He was 42 years old, working as a correspondent with Melancholia Communications Limited, which I will be referring to throughout this video as MCL. He was reporting cases of mysterious killings in Kibiti months before his disappearance. The government claimed to be investigating his case, but unfortunately, no confirmed leads have come forward. The Committee to Protect Journalists, which I will be referring to in this video as CPJ, called on the Tanzanian authorities to prioritize investigating his case. They created trending hashtags on social media, asking for answers on his whereabouts. The Tanzanian government has failed to credibly account for the disappearance of Azory. MCL's executive editor, Bakari Mashumu, told CPJ that the company did not have enough information to link his disappearance to his work as an investigative journalist. Throughout his career as a journalist, Azory Gwanda was one of the few reporters that reported from the ground situation in the towns of Muckraking, Kibiti, and Rufiji in the coast region. The Tanzanian security forces were struggling to end a protracted battle with alleged insurgents that were blamed for killing several local government and ruling leaders of the Chama cha Mapinduzi party in the area. Chama cha Mapinduzi is the second longest ruling political party in Africa. Azory's reports appeared both on Moanachi and the Citizens newspaper, both produced by MCL, a subsidiary of the Kenyan-based Nation Media Group. As of now, police spokesperson, Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police, David Masime, has said that they conducted a special operation in the districts to flesh out possible criminals affiliated with armed robbery and terrorism. He spoke on how unprecedented incidences of such violent crimes and terrorism have been present from 2015 to 2017. Analysts said the strategic murderings of the political leaders believed to have disclosed information about the suspected Islamists or their accomplices to the police. Azory disappeared within the last year these violent crimes were taking place. It is very likely these unprecedented incidences are the reason he is still missing. One of the last people to see Azory was his wife, Anna Pinoni. She was 6 months pregnant at the time and said that Azory came to their farm in Kibiti with 4 men she wasn't familiar with in a white Toyota Land Cruiser. He called to her from the window of the vehicle, saying he was going on an emergency trip and that he'd be back the following evening, and asked for their home keys. On returning home, she discovered that their house had been ransacked, with papers scattered everywhere. She reported him missing to the police 2 days later, and there's been no updates on his whereabouts. Multiple sources that have chose to be anonymous out of fear of reprisal have spoken to CPJ about believing that the men in the Land Cruiser may have been security personnel. Activists have cited Azory's disappearance as a sign of worsened conditions for journalists under then-President John Paul Magufuli's government. Those same activists have accused the government of cracking down on press freedoms by suspending newspapers. The government denied the allegations. A year later, after Azory's disappearance, the CPJ called for a credible investigation into the Tanzanian journalist, mentioning how his disappearance is reflective of their broader concerns about the freedom of the press in Tanzania. The International Federation of Journalists even made statements on Azory's behalf. They stated that they will not stop pushing the government until there are answers about Azory Gwanda. Azory wrote several articles about the deaths and disappearances in Rufiji for local newspapers. Almost every week, he would report on the gruesome murders of over 40 people in a 2-year period. Victims that were government officials, local politicians, policemen, and residents. He became the consistent chronicler of a horrific crime by unknown criminals, with unsolved murders and no culprits arrested. The murders reported by Gwanda included up to 12 police officers and the local head of criminal investigations. Dealing with the perplexing challenges, the police resorted to summary executions of suspects, harassed residents, and imposed curfews. At some point, the army was called in. These are the details on the last reports by Azory Gwanda before disappearing. MCL was not aware of his disappearance until November 30th, and was last in contact with Azory on the 20th of that same month, a day before he disappeared. In a separate interview with Melancholia newspapers, Azory's wife said that although very little was clear about the case, she believes her husband's disappearance might be linked to his work reporting on the violent crimes in the Tanzanian coast region, as well as most Tanzanian commentators. The case file for Azory was officially opened on November 28, 2018. To give more insight on how his disappearance has sparked a debate surrounding the rising violence in Tanzania at the time, commentators have cited certain events to highlight the authoritarian direction the country was headed in under President John Pombe Magufuli, most specifically due to the inept handlings of security situations and the cracking down on the media. Opposition politicians, journalists, and artists such as musicians have been arrested or harassed on common grounds of what is considered insulting the president. The government has shut down or threatened several privately owned radio stations and newspapers, raided and fined television stations that dare criticize the government, and arrested and beaten journalists covering an event. In 2018, there was a law passed requiring citizens to pay enormous fees of such as over 2 million shillings for a license to produce digital content. Digital activists say the law was to hinder free speech and dissent under President Magufuli, who was elected in 2015. The government officials argued that the rules are to tackle hate speech and other online crimes like cyberbullying. Those caught defying regulations would be fined at least 5 million shillings, or be imprisoned for 12 months or both. Press freedom groups have demanded answers from the Tanzanian government. In July 2018, Tanzania's Home Affairs Minister, Kangilugila, said that his ministry had no business being involved with searching for the journalists, assuming that the reasons for disappearing were due to personal choices. The minister affirmed that the only reason for the ministry to be involved in finding a missing person would be if there had been a suspected crime committed against them. If there had been a kidnapping, then state organs will track down the kidnapper. So it seems like the minister deemed an investigation to be unnecessary, given the circumstances under how and where Azory left where he was last seen. Despite the dangerous and gruesome crimes he was currently reporting on, Azory left his home on his own accord, which in and of itself is no indication of a crime against him. Therefore, no reason to suspect any criminal activity could be the reason why he hasn't returned, according to the minister. Before then, in May that same year, the Home Affairs Minister, Melancholia, told the public to shut up, and that without any evidence, they should not talk about sensitive cases. He said this in response to the members of Parliament's concerns over people being kidnapped, tortured, or killed, and their bodies being found all over the country. Azory Gwanda was mentioned along with others who've gone missing. Dr. Nshemba maintained that the government was concerned about these incidents and working to arrest suspects. He called on members of the public to cooperate so that suspects can be apprehended. According to him, the dead were illegal immigrants. In 2019, in July, Tanzania's Foreign Affairs Minister, Kibiti, told the BBC's Focus on Africa program that Azory Gwanda was among those that had disappeared and died in the Rufiji region. He later then retracted his statements and claims to have been misinterpreted and taken out of context, and didn't know if Azory was dead or alive. This statement was aired by Watatizi TV, a broadcaster associated with the non-governmental organization, the Tanzania Human Rights Defenders Coalition. Since Azory Gwanda went missing, Tanzanian activists and media regularly called on the government to investigate his disappearance using these hashtags. Authorities have failed to do a thorough investigation due to overall incompetence, starting with the assumption that since Azory left on his own accord, that there's not enough evidence that his disappearance is the result of any criminal activity. After his disappearance, Azory Gwanda earned several recognitions for his work within Tanzania and beyond. In June 2019, Azory's case was featured in the 10 most urgent list of journalists who have been persecuted and in need of justice by One Free Press Coalition, a united group of editors and publishers bringing awareness to journalists under attack. In September 2018, Azory received a Dwani Mangose Award for Courage in Journalism from the Union of Tanzania Press Club, and in 2019, MCL planted a tree and unveiled a plaque in his tribute to commemorate the years that have passed since going missing. His mother, Eva Mpialumba, and sister, Sophia Gwanda, have pleaded with the authorities to intensify the search, and his mom says that she's hopeful her son will return alive and soon. As of now, Azory's case still remains unsolved, leaving those demanding justice to wonder about the government's true commitment to ever finding answers. Regardless, there's still an ongoing online #Where'sAzory campaign led by journalists, rights activists, and concerned individuals to put pressure on authorities to investigate Azory Gwanda's whereabouts. Because no matter what the facts are behind his case, it is crucial to bring awareness to his case, hoping to one day gain answers. Hi everyone. I hope you all liked and learned something from this video. People often overlook and take for granted the importance of journalists and activists and don't know how dangerous the jobs can be. That's why I encourage you to like and share this video and subscribe for more. Also, please consider donating to the organizations and charities in the links below. Thank you all so much. I'll see you on my next video. Bye!